Hello, and thank you for joining me. My name is Scott Hunter. I am a student in ECPI University's Family Nurse Practitioner program. I'm also representing my wonderful teammates, Ms. Iman Ahmed, Christina Zuniga, Kelsey Regano, and Latoya McCrory. And the policy issue that we want to present today is a policy improvement on maternity leave. So the United States needs to update its current policy on maternity leave, which only mandates 12 weeks of unpaid maternity leave. So who does this impact? Well, it impacts mothers, obviously, and also families. But it goes way beyond that. It impacts politicians, it impacts economists, it impacts CEOs and company stakeholders, it impacts healthcare professionals, health advocates, entire healthcare systems. It literally impacts everyone. So just a short background on the current maternal leave policy. It is implemented through the Family and Medical Leave Act, FMLA, which includes a provision giving eligible workers 12 weeks of unpaid leave to care for a new child. Now, the interesting word in that statement, I think, is the word eligible. It makes me question exactly who is considered eligible. Does that include seasonal workers? Does it include people who work less than 40 hours a week? Does it include people who are hired through temp agencies? Obviously, any policy change would need to be all-encompassing and include all of those groups. Just an interesting statistic, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, only 11% of American workers currently get paid maternal leave through their employers or state programs. It's kind of dismal. The US is pretty much the only developed country which mandates only unpaid leave, and for such a short duration, only 12 weeks. There's currently about 21 countries who offer a year or more of paid maternity leave. These countries include Japan, South Korea, the Czech Republic, Austria, Finland, Denmark. So this is in pretty stark contrast to the United States' current maternity leave policy, and it's kind of deplorable and unacceptable. So hopefully we can change this in the near future. So our proposed policy change is to implement a federal policy which extends maternity leave beyond 12 weeks and in which the mother receives 100% of her salary during that leave. And this is important for a number of reasons. So it improves the mental and physical well-being of the mother as well as the newborn. The current policy creates a financial constraint, so the policy change would promote financial stability within the family. A policy change would create an environment where a woman is less likely to be forced to choose between her career and her family. The current policy forces a mother to return to work shortly after giving birth. It doesn't give her really any time to recover physically and emotionally from the pregnancy, and it also doesn't give her any time to bond with her new baby. So mental health, there's a number of research studies that look into the connection between mental health and maternity leave. But the one study that I'm going to cite for you is from the Journal of Mental Health Policy and Economics. And it found that mothers who had to return to work after 12 weeks or less of maternity leave and less than 8 weeks of paid leave were found to have increasing levels of symptoms of depression as well as decreased health. So depression can affect a mother in a number of ways. It can reduce her quality of life. It can impair her social functioning. As we all know, the body and the mind are connected, so it can lead to a host of other negative health outcomes. And someone who's severely depressed, they often aren't even able to care for themselves, let alone a newborn. So the quality of life will be improved both in the short term and the long term for a mother, for the child, and for the whole family if we were to implement a more generous maternal leave policy. So consequences of not implementing such a policy, I think they're kind of evident and widespread. They force a mother to sacrifice her career for her family. The current policy, it leads to poor physical and mental health outcomes for women. It creates gender gaps in wages. You know, instead of advancing at work, a mother has to choose to prioritize her family, or in many cases quit her job altogether, which creates financial constraints. So we have a few proposed alternatives. None of them are really as good as our proposed policy change, but they would be a step in the right direction, I guess. So provision of on-site daycare at the place of employment. Some employers do this already, but they're very few and far between. Another alternative would be mandated government assistance with infant daycare, although I'm not sure how many mothers would feel comfortable leaving their newborn at a daycare facility or, you know, with a stranger, a babysitter, but it's a possibility. And then in some professions, a mother could be allowed to take her newborn to work. That obviously wouldn't work in all professions, but she would also need to be allowed time to care for her baby, to breastfeed, and she would need a designated private area to provide that care and time during the workday to provide that care. So advantages, there's countless advantages of such a policy change. Advantages to the mother. It would lead to short-term and long-term improved health outcomes, mental health and physical health. Providing paid maternity leave longer than 12 weeks has been shown to reduce the numbers of women experiencing depressive symptoms, as I already mentioned. You know, mothers are already at risk for postpartum depression, for anxiety, for PTSD, also for decreased physical health outcomes. So a policy change would help to eliminate all of those issues, and it would also just strengthen the bond between the mother and her newborn. So economic advantages, increased financial stability and spending power of the family, so they would be able to contribute more to the economy. It would lower unemployment rates by keeping mothers employed, and not only that, but companies would have to hire additional workers to temporarily fill those mothers' positions, which would even further lower the unemployment rate. And then it would also narrow wage gender gaps and increase a woman's ability to advance in her career, to climb the corporate ladder and achieve some of those higher positions in an organization which usually men occupy. So corporate advantages. It reduces financial, physical, and time resources needed to recruit new employees because mom left her job in order to care for her baby and her family. It has been shown to increase productivity in new mothers because they are not distracted at work and they're not stressed out at work about where their baby is and what's happening or not happening to their baby. And then finally, institutional knowledge is retained within an organization when a mother does not have to quit her job, which I think is invaluable to an organization. And then another advantage is the health outcomes that we already discussed, the improved health outcomes. Research shows that with a longer maternity leave, there are higher birth weights, there are lower infant mortality rates, and there is more engagement between the mother and child as well as the father. So disadvantages of our proposed policy change, they're really far and few between. In my opinion, there aren't any disadvantages, but here's a few disadvantages that we came up with. The mother may begin to experience stress at home from the regular day-to-day activities that she has to participate in, caring for the newborn, probably caring for her other children as well. So that can create some stress for mom. Also, if the father's at home, if he has like a generous paternal leave program, mom and dad locked up together all day, that can cause some friction possibly, I guess. There's a short-term disadvantage to the employer because they have to not only pay the mother to be at home with her child, but also to hire an additional employee or to shuffle around job duties at work, which can, lead to additional stress for the people who are not on leave. And then another possible disadvantage is that the mother, if they were allowed a year off work, they may decide that, continuing to stay at home and care for their family is more important than the job, so they could just simply quit after that 1 year of paid leave. So those are some of the disadvantages. The cost of this change, like I said, I think any cost would be quickly recouped by all of the advantages, but there would be a short-term cost to the employer or to the government. This money has to come from somewhere to not only pay these mothers to stay at home, but also replace them in their jobs. So feasibility, this policy change is highly feasible. It's already been shown to work in 21 plus other countries that are thriving and have stable economies. It's also been shown to work in 3 states, California, New Jersey, and Rhode Island. New Jersey, for example, their paid maternity leave program is financed through employee payroll deductions. It's 0.09% of each worker's taxable wage base goes to the maternity leave program, and that 100% finances the program. It adds up to less than $1 a week per person. Not much. So we need to have a process to evaluate this policy change, to measure its success and to implement changes if needed. So the process for evaluating this change, we would need to know more about the beneficiaries. We would need to know their income levels and how their income is affected by a policy change such as this. We would need to know about the industries in which they work, the companies that employ them. We would need to track the financial health and the health outcomes of the beneficiaries. We would need to look at how companies are affected financially. And then I think it would also be important to look at other government assistance programs, other forms of social welfare, because I think that the burden on those programs would be reduced, because the way it stands now, mom has to quit her job because she can't afford daycare, and then she goes on government assistance for food, for housing, for spending cash, for necessities. And if she's getting paid maternity leave, oftentimes she wouldn't have to quit her job, so she wouldn't need to utilize these other programs. It would also be important to track unemployment rates. I think unemployment rates would go down significantly. And then obviously any information that's collected would need to be it would need to be collected and shared in a manner that protects the privacy of the beneficiaries. And this information should be shared with researchers, academics, monitoring and evaluation personnel, so that they can properly evaluate the program and implement changes as needed. So supporters of this program, mothers, potential mothers, families. There's a lot of companies like Coca-Cola, Google, Netflix, Amazon, Nike, American Express, they've already implemented policies which offer a more generous paid maternity leave package. Um, and these companies are well known for recruiting some of the best talent in their industry and retaining that talent. So clearly the benefit outweighs any costs incurred in implementing such a policy. So interestingly, 71% of millennials support paid family maternity leave. So clearly people support this. I think just more people need to voice their support and take action in order to actually make a change. So that's our proposed policy. I'm just going to give a quick summary. So we are saying that federal policy change surrounding maternity leave is needed to allow mothers more time off work to have children and to care for their newborns. That leave needs to be paid. This will result in improved health outcomes for the mother as well as the child. It will also reduce or eliminate financial stress that mothers have to endure as a result of temporarily or oftentimes permanently suspending their employment to start a family. And these changes are completely feasible. The United States lags far behind any other developed country in this respect, and it's time that we caught up. So such a policy change is not only feasible, but it's just a logical step in health promotion and social justice. So that is our proposed policy change. Once again, my name is Scott Hunter. My teammates' names are Iman Ahmed, Christina Zuniga, Kelsey Regano, and Latoya McCrory. And I am going to put up on the screen our references really quick. And I'm going to try to fit them all on one page. They don't all quite fit on one page. Okay, thank you very much for your time.